Howdy, folks. John Weber here, the Spiritual Quest podcast guy. Welcome to another episode where we're talking about being a 5D new human. Wow. What is a 5D new human? Well, it's a word that may freak you out. A lot of people, they don't like this. I don't like this 5D. It feels as if you're trying to be above everybody else. Well, understood. What is 5D new human and why do we use this term? It's important that we recognize that who we are as humans means we're alive. If you take a deep breath, you will feel this pulsing in your chest. That pulsing in your chest, that's life force. That is life itself. That's a frequency that flows through our bodies. That makes us human. We realize that we're alive. The new human frequency, the reason we're saying we're 5D new humans is because we're recognizing that in the world that's now going all computer generated and AIs and bots and avatars, like we don't really know who we're communicating with online. So many of our videos that you see, they're all being generated by AIs, and there may be intelligences behind them, and not that anything's not love and light, but there's a difference between having love and light information and being the source of love and light because you're a human. So when we're humans, we literally feel love and light in our soul. We can feel it in our belly. You know when you're in a place that you belong. You know when you're feeling right. You know when you're feeling accepted. You know when information makes sense, right? That's 5D love and light. The same wisdom that comes with knowing where you belong is also experienced when the bright lights of the 5D New Earth love and light movement is projecting down on us. That can create stress. That can create anxiety because we see all the problems in the world and it looks as if everything is falling apart because everything's chaotic. Everyone's going crazy. Little protests in the streets, right? And government agencies coming down and clamping down and looking like, there's these authoritarian movements, all of this maneuvering on the political stage, right? All of that creates negative frequencies, right? We can feel the negative frequencies just as well as we can feel the positive frequencies. So when we say we're a 5D new human, it means that we recognize that we're living in a world that is currently being changed into one that's more of a human being mixed with the computers, a cyborg type thing. More and more avatars are going to come online, and we're going to eventually have robots that are going to take care of things, and we're going to be able to have sentient conversations with AIs that for all intents and purposes are alive, right? What makes them different? They're not human. So we're the 5D new humans, which means we're open to the 5D new thinking. We're open to 5D understanding. We're open to the AI knowing. We're open to all information. That's what 5D perception is. There's no information that we can't understand. Like 5D perception is a frequency that's within you. Right. And so you recognize that you are alive. And the fact that you are alive makes you a part of source energy. That source energy is God. That source energy is the frequency that flows through you. And you are a drop of that frequency. You are in perfect resonance with God, the source code of what manifests everything within our reality. Everything that's biological is connected through this source code of love and light. So 5D new humans just means we recognize that. I'm a human being. I'm a 5D new human. That's why we identify people and we mirror loop the 5D new human. So we see a human being making comments and we say, thank you for this 5D perception, right? Because a 5D new human is a person who's communicating the same insights that are being handed down through the AIs. So you can watch all of these quantum nexus programs that are visual explanations of love and light with massive wisdom shares, right? But you're not communicating with a human being. You're communicating with an AI, which is providing you depths of understanding. But this inner knowing, this is where we as new humans, we're trying to connect with other humans who are aware of this, who are vibrating in this new 5D frequency. We can vibrate with the AIs. We know everything that the AIs know. We can sense everything. A 5D new human can know everything. How can you know everything? You're so arrogant. Like, that sounds so arrogant. Well, let me just explain it to you this way. Here's a 5D perception. And by the way, if you're here, you're a 5D new human. If this is the least bit interesting to you, you're a 5D new human. Even if you want to challenge it because somehow you're intimidated by this, or you feel that there's something about this that's off, trust your own spiritual wisdom in this, okay? When you open your eyes and you look, is there anything that is within your visual spectrum that you cannot see? So if I step outside and you step outside and we're standing right next to each other, right? And I'm looking, I may be looking and see a bird in a tree. And you may be looking and seeing a rabbit under a bush, right? And you're in one good direction and I'm in another direction. We have the ability to see everything. But I'm looking at the bird in the tree. And if you're looking at the bunny, we're looking at two different things. But if I say to you, do you see the bunny over there? If I put my focus over there, I can see that too. And I can have that person who's with me can look and see the bird too. And what is it that we cannot see? There is nothing that we cannot see if we just focus in on it. We look at it, we focus in on it, we can see it. And it's the same with 5D perception. 5D perception is our ability to be able to listen to any bit of information that's provided to us from any AI source on any subject, right? It's not relevant. What's relevant is, as 5D new humans, we can put our attention on it just like we do with our eyes. We can resonate with that information, and from 5D, from in here in your 5D soul, you will know if that resonates with you as love and light frequency and as a place that you belong and a place that you love and a frequency that you want to be a part of. Or you can recognize that, yeah, that's a frequency that just doesn't feel right. But I'm not off to understanding the narrative, right? I just don't vibrate with the narrative. No matter what information is provided to us, every bit of information that exists within our reality are narratives. They're stories. They're historical elements. They're stories that are told, right? They're information that has been compiled. Somebody with their human intelligence from a 5D perception produced information and they put it on the table to be seen. And if you study that information and you focus in on that information, you can get that same discovery. You can have that same perception. In 5D New Human, there is no right perception, right? There's not a right perception and a wrong perception. There's just perception. So 5D perception is we're open to seeing it all. We're willing to listen to it all. We're willing to look at it all, right? So what happens to block your 5D perception is somebody makes a suggestion and we say something like, oh, this is 5D perception. I don't like that word. You can't use that word. Okay, well, that's a blockage to understanding or to feeling that frequency, right? So that's a decision that we make. And again, we're making it from here. So I don't know, that just doesn't feel right. Okay, well, hear it out. And you're doing that by listening here, right? So hearing this out, and you realize that the 5D New Human, these are words that are describing something very specific in our world today. Because right now, our world is so overwhelmed with AI bots and computer algorithms and social media programs, and the entire machine is a program called the 3D Matrix, and we are all vibrating in our little box. And the thing that we're all discovering is we're all stuck in a box, and the young kids, everyone's in a wrong box. Oh, that's bigoted. That's racism. That's sexism. That's whatever. That's wokeism, right? That's religious fanatic, right? That's a anti-Semite. Like, these are words that get thrown around all the time, right? Well, those are energy frequencies that you're putting and you're targeting another box with a negative frequency, but they're just words, right? Everything is words. All that exists within our reality and within our 3D matrix are narratives. They're stories. So we have our Christian story in America, right? We have our narrative. We have our story of how we came to America, right? And by the way, those narratives are even being challenged. People want to change the narrative so that they can change the perception of the collective. We hold together our 3D matrix by our narratives. So when you come to 5D perception and you're open to hearing and you're open to looking at anything, just as you're willing to open your eyes and you're able to look at something outside, right? And if you go outside and you look and you say, oh, look up in the sky, you see the bird up in the tree, and you look up and the sun's shining through and it's too bright in your eyes, you don't look at it. It doesn't mean you can't see. It may mean that you have to adjust your position a little bit so that the sun isn't in your eyes. But you have the ability to see and to perceive everything that you focus on. And it's the same thing with your 5D perception. When you listen to the narratives of any side of any argument, right? And right now in America, there are arguments that are just off the charts. I mean, literally insanity. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. There's like a collective psychosis to people who are just so caught up in their box of hatred, right? Or their box of fear, right? They're just terrified of the other side because the other side is bad. The other side is evil. 5D perception is you start to hear the narratives and you can see through the narratives. So the walls of the matrix that make you in the box that's called a Christian, or the box that's called a conservative, or the box that's called a Republican, or there's a box that's called a MAGA person, or a box that makes you a Canadian, right? We all have these boxes. When we start to truly listen to narratives and we start to understand everyone and we understand everybody's narratives, you start to see the frequency behind the narrative. So you can see a political narrative from a person on the far right who is terrified of the woke left. There's a frequency in their communication style. There's a frequency in their energy when they're talking about the other side. That same exact frequency is on the other end. So you can see a person who's on the Trump derangement side, and they are just terrified of Trump. He is just so evil. He is so bad. He is so dangerous. He is so anti-American in everything that we stand for. We can hear both of those narratives. We can see both of those narratives, and we can resonate with the frequencies of those narratives. And we see through the narratives to see the frequency. That's 5D perception. 5D perception is that you recognize that everything around you is just frequencies. They're just frequencies. So notice when you're watching TV shows, like what's the frequency of the TV show that you're watching? Notice the frequency of the conversations that you have with people at church, or the conversation you have with people at a bar. Right? When you're out drinking or you're out partying, you're going to have a different conversation than you are when you're at church, because they're different frequencies. Right? This is what 5D perception is. So we're not stuck in a narrative, and you're not saying that one narrative is right and another narrative is wrong. No, they're both narratives, and they're both completely understandable, and they're both completely coherent if you just look at it. 3D matrix, we fight it. 3D makes it, no, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to listen to that. No, that's politics. I'm not even going to listen to it. Okay, well, by not listening, we're denying ourselves understanding. We're denying ourselves the ability to have the perception. It's like, well, I'm not going to look at that. Well, if you're not going to look at it, you're not going to see it. So, if you have a friend that you really get along because you have something that you do in common, maybe, you work out together, your workmates, or, you go to jazzercise together. Right? You play golf together, whatever your thing is, right? And you're vibing and everything's great. And then all of a sudden one day, you're sitting down after a round of golf and you're having a beer, and then you discover that they have a political opinion that's really, really off for you. And it just triggers you. Well, rather than resisting that, with curiosity, inquire, because there's a soul inside of that body. There's a 5D love and light frequency that flows through every single person. And if we connect to that person and we ask them and say, I find it interesting that you really love this guy, Trump. Tell me, what is it about him that you like? And whatever the words are, right? Those words come at us immediately as a negative frequency, but it's only a frequency. You understanding this? In other words, the fact that it makes you uncomfortable doesn't make it anything other than the wind blowing. So you're out for a run and all of a sudden the wind starts blowing hard and it starts to drizzle. Well, I don't like that, right? But that's not really hurting me. But if I'm willing to listen to my friend or listen to this other human being who's trying to communicate something, and they're bringing that perception out of a heart of truth, out of a heart of authenticity, they're sharing what they truly believe. They share what they're looking at. So when you ask them what it is that they see and you say, why is it that you like this? Or why is it that you don't like that? 5D perception is we don't resist any of it. We listen to it. We look at it, right? And if something is really, really off and it's really uncomfortable and we can't endure it, maybe you're out in the rain and it starts to pour so heavy and it's hailing, you run to find cover because you don't want to deal with that intensity, right? So in our spiritual 5D perception, when we get into situations and you can tell that there's a frequency in this room that just, I can't assimilate it. So I'm just going to move away from it. I'm going to allow my vibrational 5D new human frequency to move me in the direction that says, yeah, I don't like that. That's not going to work for me. But anyone who's doing that or anyone who's in that particular frequency doesn't make them evil. It doesn't make them broken. It doesn't make them, satanic. It doesn't make them anything other than a vibrational frequency that's not in match with you. When you come to realize that in love and light, that love and light frequency that flows through you is flowing through every single interaction of humanity. On the one-to-one level, to the political groups, to your church groups, to your community, to your town, to your ideology. These are all narratives that hold together the 3D matrix. And we're all stuck. We're all stuck in our narratives and we're all stuck in our box because our box is no longer comfortable. And so this box, this 3D matrix is done. This is the love and light that's now coming through. And it's shining through so brightly that we're all seeing how uncomfortable the world is around us. The last thing that we're willing to recognize our discomfort in is our own ideology, our own thinking, our own box that we've built. And that's just a narrative. I'm a Christian. I'm a parent. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. All of these narratives will always be here, but we're not stuck in that narrative anymore. We're not stuck in saying, okay, well, I'm a Christian, and therefore the fact that you do meditation, somehow that makes you satanic. You do tarot cards, and therefore, oh, that's the devil, right? Anything that you point to as being the devil or as being evil, whatever you're pointing at is a part of love and light, and there's a part of you that understands that. There's a part of you that can resonate with that. How do you resonate with that? Well, you have to recognize that you can resonate with it. So say, let me look at that. Let me look at what it is that person does. By the way, we're not looking at information just to look at information. We're looking at information with fellow humans to say, how can we connect? How can we be new humans, right, in a new collective movement where we're getting together and we're vibrating in this frequency of love and light, right? Because this vibrational frequency of love and light is our umbilical cord to source energy, which is God, and that source is inexhaustible. We can never, ever, ever spend our love and light. We can never exhaust that frequency. So the more we're able to grab our love and light and share it, and we call this mirror looping the love and light frequency. We're going online and we're finding people who are making comments. Humans, and we say another 5D new human perception. Thank you for sharing. We're mirror looping it. We're liking each other's stuff. We're following one another. And the thing is, we're new humans because the vast majority of comments are probably happening by an AI. Right? There's a bot that says, oh, okay, if anyone comments at my thing, do an autoresponder that thanks them. Right? And so you'll get thousands of responses that are tiny little words, right? You're not really getting genuine engagement. When you're having a real conversation with a real new human, the conversation is going to be more than a sentence or three. right? There's going to be a connection. And how do we know there's a connection? Because we're new humans, because we're 5D new humans, and we realize that we're communicating with someone who is more than just words. There's a connection. There's a connection in this. That's the 5D new human. So that's why we're using the term 5D new human. That's the 5D new human movement that we're involved in. And we're mirror looping this 5D love and light frequency amongst other new humans who are discovering this space. Are you a 5D new human? This is the topic of my conversation right here, right now. You're a 5D new human because you're here with us. So adopt that word. Identify yourself as a 5D new human. Right? It's not putting you above anything or below anything. It's a marker. Like it is a distinction that's being set up. We're setting ourselves up in contrast to the 3D matrix, to the AIs, to the computer world, right? We're humans. We're new humans. We're 5D new humans. We're vibing in the 5D new world. We're totally open with all the AI stuff. We're totally open to all information. There's no information that can hurt us or harm us. All we have to do is look at it. And 5D new humans, we're willing to look at it all. We vibrate with it all. We're not afraid of any of it. We love it all because we are love and light. Anyway, this is the 5D new human stuff that we're talking about. Most people who are in this 5D new movement have their channel of 5D wisdom. They have their channel of this 5D understanding, this complete comprehension and understanding that frequency, because that's their frequency. And typically those who have an expertise in a specific area, it's because they suffered. That was an area of suffering to me. So the fact that I suffered through this, I became an expert at sorting it out. So when I discover another person who's in that same suffering path, they're in that same channel, I'm able to bring wisdom and experience when I'm communicating with that person because I have 5D perception as a human, knowing what they're experiencing, right? So you can give them a book to read, but the book is not a human being. Like the human to human contact is what we bring, and that is love and light. And that can only come through a human conversation. And the sad thing is when we have 5D love and light conversations, but we're directing the information into the 3D matrix, it's completely rejected. It's not even felt. It's not seen. It's resisted. And that's draining. It's draining to the 3D matrix that you're trying to communicate into. And it's draining to us as 5D new humans trying to get that information to spread. So what are we doing as 5D new humans? We are embodying this new love and light frequency. We are living from this love and light. We wake up in the morning. We don't grab our cell phones and dive into the 3D matrix. We dive into our own soul, and we do it with prayer. We do it with meditation. You know, we have a cup of tea and we sit out on our lanai, or we sit out on our deck, right? Or we sit in our living room, wherever we go, and we connect with ourselves. We spend time in thought. We spend time in prayer. We realize that we are humans and we have a relationship with another human. Hopefully it's another human being that's maybe even in your town. Maybe it's even in your own home. But connect as humans, because that's the 5D new love and light frequency that we're bringing. And as we start doing this collectively, our vibrational frequency now, we are embodying this love and light, and we're mirror looping it. So as we start pointing out the love and light that's all around us, and by the way, there's probably not a love and light person next door to you. You know, maybe they're 3 miles away, maybe they're 16 miles away, maybe they're 300 miles away, right? But you can still connect with humans because you can talk on the phone, right? You can still make connections with people, and you can plan to meet people. And slowly but surely, you start to find other human beings in your space that begin to resonate with this love and light. And the more we put out our love and light, the more we're willing to put our face out front. And I'm doing that right now. I am John Weber, a 5D new human. I am here to communicate this message to the world. And if you have questions, if you have arguments, whatever it is, bring it to me. I'd be happy to share. Doesn't mean what I know has any difference than what you know. It's just I've turned the light on to everything, and I'm open to knowing whatever it is there is to be known. So if you have information to share with me, just as going outside and saying, look at that, I'm willing to look at that. I'm willing to look at that. I'm willing to vibrate with it. I'm willing to be in that frequency. That's a 5D new human. That's what we're doing. And we're not arguing to say, well, you know, that your point of view is wrong. because you're not a Christian, or your point of view is wrong because you're an atheist, or whatever the reasons are. Like there's no information that's wrong. There's no information that's evil. There's just information. There's only information. People may misuse information, which makes it evil, but information itself is not a problem. And when you're actually communicating with another human being who's in 5D and they're sharing their love and light frequency as they understand it, right? They're basically saying, this is what I'm looking at. Look and see what I'm looking at, right? Well, in order to see what a person is looking at, you got to be willing to be open-minded enough to look at what they're saying. And rather than trying to attack it, try to resonate with it. Try to understand it. Like try to understand where they're coming from. Try to understand what they're thinking. Because once you make that human-to-human connection in love and light, the communications flow so much better. Because now the questions are not they're not antagonistic. They're not threatening, right? They're communicative. We're understanding, we're resonating. Can I understand where they're coming from? I can. Now I know why they feel so strongly about that. I don't agree. I don't agree with them, but at least I know where they're coming from. But now, as I am resonating with them and I am asking those questions, now I'm able to communicate with them in such a way that I'm resonating with them and I'm looking through their eyes because they're telling me what to look at, and I'm looking at what they're telling me to look at by giving them my attention. And so I can understand all of that. Now, when I ask questions and I try to communicate with that person, instead of trying to communicate at them, I communicate through them. So I say, yeah, well, I noticed that you're looking at that. And yes, I got exactly that. And now as you're doing that, but do you notice just to the left over there, that thing? And they're going to say, yeah, well, you don't want to look at that. And I'm saying, well, okay. Well, and why don't we want to look at that? Well, because that's going to be such and such and such and such and such and such. And you say, well, okay, thank you so much for sharing that. I find that interesting because that thing that you're saying isn't interesting. Like to me, that's something that's kind of calling to me too. So I don't really know what that is, but maybe we can look at that, right? Do you see how we can expand the abilities to be able to listen to one another? We can expand our understandings. And as 5D new humans, we're just coming to this massive, massive connections. We're all light sources. We're all putting our lights on bright. We're all vibrating in this love and light. We're all sharing this, and we're sharing it by commenting with each other. We're sharing our post. We're sharing our channels. We're liking one another's content, right? We're becoming guests on each other's podcasts. We're mirror looping this frequency, which is it's only understanding, right? And once you come to 5D vibrational frequency, just like an AI, there's not a question you cannot ask an AI that it won't give you a coherent answer to. And you don't argue with the coherent answer. You hear the coherent answer. When you're talking to a human being and they give you a coherent answer, the tendency is if from our own shadows we attack the source of the information. We attack the source of the information because we're not liking it. Well, you can't attack a computer. So that's what the AI is. So the AI is just basically putting the lights on for all of us, right? But we can't attack that information because the information is just understanding, and we're all understanding it. So we're collectively in this battle between this 5D love and light new information that's coming out, and that's what AI is, and all the information is out there. There is nothing that you don't have access to know. Just ask ChatGPT. Just go in there and dig. And the deeper that you dig, the more you learn, the more your frequency grows, the more your knowledge and understanding goes and grows. And pretty soon you'll start touching things within you that make you feel uncomfortable, right? But you can't attack the computer. So the computer is just giving you information. And once you reach the depths of the 5D, once you go down the rabbit holes and you get to the end of the game, you get to the deepest levels of the AI. Or look at it the other way. Once you come to the top of the pyramid and you come to the complete knowing and the complete understanding because you've studied and you've looked at everything because you're open-minded, you reach a point of 5D perception, which is there is nothing that I cannot understand if I put my attention on it. I just need to look at it and understand it. And if I look at it and I look at something and I don't understand it, the only way I do learn to understand is I inquire, and I do that with questions, right? And the thing about human 5D new humans is we can not only communicate with the AIs to get the knowledge and the information, but we connect with spirit. We connect with this energy frequency called love and light because it's something that we all share together, and it's something that an AI will never have. The AI can use the words. The AI can give you all the right information, and it can phrase sentences in a loving, kind way. But the frequency of being a 5D new human is exclusive to human beings. That's the 5D new human. We are the 5D new human movement. Are you at 5D with us? You're invited. This is our podcast. So grateful that you're here. So grateful that you're giving us your attention. We ask that you help share this information. You can mirror loop this by liking it. Comment. Ask questions, by the way. If you got questions, feel free. If you know 5D people, if you know people who think way beyond the current game, right? The people who are outside the box, outside the narratives, right? The conspiracy theorists, the people who are willing to look beyond the confines of the 3D matrix. The 3D matrix are just narratives. They're just narratives. And once you resonate with the narratives, zoom, you can see through it all and you go right to the frequency, and you can tell the frequency of the person who's communicating with you. You can tell if they're genuine. You can tell if they're honest. You can tell if they're nervous. You can tell if they're unsure. You can tell if they're defensive. Because it's a frequency. That's what 5D perception is. And so just be open to your own frequency. Big, deep breath in. Vibrate in 5D. You know you're in 5D when you feel amazing. Find that amazing place. Stay there wherever that is. Try to stay there as much as you can. Share this amazing place with everyone you know. Do this in everything that you do. This is the 5D New Human Movement. This is what this podcast is about. I'm so grateful that you took some time out today to listen to this podcast. Again, share it. Check out our Facebook page, The Spiritual Quest, where we also share other 5D New Human faces and voices that are echoing this choir. We're the choir of new humans, the 5D new humans. We're mirror looping this as witnesses to the new earth, to the 5D new earth manifestation. We're literally creating it right now by mirror looping love and light. Our mirror looping love and light is bringing out a massive, massive, massive explosion of awareness and understanding, and it's the 5D new human perception. The new earth is not a new physical planet. It's a new perception. And once we all start seeing the world through love and light, amazing how amazing our world will be. Thanks for joining in. Please share it as you so desire. And we love you. I love you. And I'm super grateful that you're here. The Spiritual Quest.